One Page Weekly with Nick Slavik. Uncertainty. Data plus feelings. In a study, people who either knew 100% or 0% that they were going to be gently shocked with electricity were less stressed than the test subjects who had a 50% probability of being shocked. The theory being people prefer to know for certain versus having less of a chance of a negative outcome with variable odds. People just like to know. There are two basic forms of uncertainty: aleatory and epistemic. Aleatory uncertainty, the Latin word alea means dice, is not reducible by gathering knowledge. It's pure chance, randomness, a coin flip, or a dice roll. You cannot make it go away by learning more. Epistemic uncertainty, the Greek word episteme means knowledge, can be reduced to near zero with info gathering, testing, and expert advice. The outcomes are variable, but theoretically knowable to you, maybe not just yet. When I think about all the notable human interactions I've had, there is a clear difference between people's tolerance for risk, and more specifically, aleatory versus epistemic uncertainty. Effort is rewarded with more certain outcomes in epistemic uncertainty. It is not in aleatory uncertainty. And I think people have a difficult time deciding which type of uncertainty they're actually dealing with, at least based on how they react to the uncertain situation. I've always been okay with uncertainty. My own bio is a treatise to that, littered with examples of jumping into something with optimism, maybe some data, and a whole bunch of uncertainty. Mechanics, military, college, starting a family, buying a home, starting businesses, etc. You get the idea. Many of these, in my early years, were pure dice rolls. And if I'm being honest, I didn't even do myself the favor of reducing uncertainty in the epistemic portions of the risk. I put no effort into hedging my bets, just rolled the dice. There were good outcomes of these, mainly because I did all of my info gathering while I was in the risk, and I was okay with that. If there was a horrible outcome, I kept a light footprint and could always work myself out of a bad spot with effort and optimism. Now that I have people depending on me, I don't feel the same level of uninformed uncertainty is warranted. When I take on an initiative, start a new thing, or expand one of my ongoing concerns, I now have an SOP for the uncertainty. For the epistemic portion, I will spend a reasonable amount of time gathering info, finding the patterns in the data, and then just stop the search when I sense diminishing returns, maybe even before. For the aleatory portion of the risk, I hedge properly. If I can't find a business to lease this building, do I have enough wherewithal to cover the carrying costs? If this new employee doesn't work out, what will the downside to the business be, to the people in my business? My SOP for the aleatory portion of the risk also contains an ultra-curated to-do list and building margin into my days to compensate for the unknowns and the unknowables. All this is fine, and this may seem reasonable to the average consumer of One Page Weekly, but you are likely more risky, more entrepreneurial, and more okay with uncertainty than the average human. We also have to weigh the aleatory and epistemic uncertainty our families and businesses are exposed to because of our nature. Some people find comfort in our ability to take on the added uncertainty. Some people are unseated by it, no matter the prep work, the plan, the level of certainty. Only 2 to 4% of any business in the United States will do what we do. That stat says less about my certainty as a leader and more about my ability to be okay with the lack of it, especially for long periods of time. Once a leap is properly prepared for, with appropriate hedges in place, margin built into the schedule, it's time to just do the thing. This is my role, and I'm glad to have it. This has been One Page Weekly with Nick Slavik.